Hello, welcome to Yustory. I'm Xiaoyu. China Voice, China Stories. Standing at the foot of the Great Wall of China, you might have a question, a simple question. Is this wall really as powerful as people they think? Actually, the Great Wall we see today is largely from the Ming Dynasty, and it is 7 to 8 meters high. In the Qin Dynasty, the Great Wall was only 3 to 4 meters high on average. Afterward, it does not reach into the sky. It isn't an impossible fortress. A well-trained soldier might be able to climb over it. A powerful army might even be able to break through it. So here comes the question. If the Great Wall couldn't stop people, why did China spend more than 2,000 years building it? The answer may be completely different from what you imagine. What the Great Wall truly aims to stop has never been people. It was to stop something much more important, something that made armies powerful, something called speed. So what's it? More than 2,000 years ago, northern China was home to two completely different worlds. To the south, there was an agricultural civilization. People lived on the land, they planted crops, built cities, and created a society based on farming. To the north, there were endless grasslands, and across those grasslands lived the nomadic peoples. They followed the seasons, they moved with their herds, and they possessed something that agricultural civilizations both envy and fear: horse. At first, these two worlds were not natural enemies. In fact, for a long time, they needed each other. Farmers provided grain, iron tools, and manufactured goods. Nomadic peoples provided horses, livestock, and leather. The two sides maintained a delicate balance. But the grasslands had one great danger, a danger no human could control: nature. A severe drought could destroy huge areas of pasture. Without grass, livestock couldn't survive. Without livestock, entire tribes could lose the foundation of their lives. And when survival was threatened, some nomadic groups had only one choice: move south. Because they clearly know the south was a wealthy agricultural world, a world filled with food and resources. They rode across the frontier with incredible speed. They took what they needed. And before farmers could organize a response, they disappeared back into the vast grasslands. This created a nightmare for agricultural civilizations. The enemy came, but you couldn't catch them. They didn't need to conquer cities. They didn't need to occupy land. They only appeared suddenly, struck quickly, and disappeared. Because their greatest weapon was not the sword, not the bow, not armor, but speed. So, facing this fast-moving cavalry force, agricultural civilizations felt a problem that seemed almost impossible. Should they station huge armies along the entire border? The cost would be enormous, because nobody knew when the enemy would appear or where they would attack. Today, the East, tomorrow, the West. Along such a long frontier, every place seemed vulnerable. Some people will say, how about waiting until the enemy appeared and then sending troops to chase them? Obviously, it was already too late. Because cavalry had one terrifying advantage: they could arrive quickly and disappear even faster. So ancient Chinese rulers finally understood something. The problem was not how to defeat the cavalry. The real question was, how do you take away the cavalry's great advantages? That is, how to take away their speed. And then a revolutionary idea appeared. If the enemy's power came from horses, then the solution was simple: limit the movement of those horses. So the earliest Great Wall were not the magnificent brick structures we see today. They were much simpler: earth walls, stone barriers, defensive lines built by using the natural landscape. The material was basic, but the purpose was extremely clear. It was never nobody can pass. It was nobody can pass quickly. A person could climb over the wall, but a large cavalry force could no longer move freely like it did across the open grass lines. The enemy could enter, but they had already lost their greatest advantage, their speed. And without speed, the legendary cavalry of the grasslands was no longer unstoppable. But the true power of the Great Wall was never just the wall itself. Behind it was an entire defense system. Watchtowers, mountain passes, military stations, and a communication network. When enemy approached the frontier, the first watchtower saw them. A signal fire rose into the sky. The next tower received the message, then the next, and the next. A warning could travel across hundreds of kilometers. Before the enemy moved into Chinese territory, the empire already knew where they were, what they were doing, and where to send soldiers. It's really smart, isn't it? So the Great Wall was not just a barrier, it was an ancient warning system. Its greatest power was not stopping the enemy at the wall. Its greatest power was seeing the enemy before they arrived. Now, a question remains. If the Great Wall was not impossible to break through, why didn't the nomadic warriors simply destroy it? Okay, feel free to leave your comment below. Actually, the war is not only about strength, it's about the time. And the time was exactly what they didn't have. Destroying a wall required tools, time, and manpower. But when nomadic cavalry moved south, their greatest advantage was speed. They didn't come with massive siege equipment. They were not prepared for a long battle. They were not trying to capture and rule cities. Their strategy was simple. Enter quickly, take what they needed, leave quickly. But if they stopped, they will lose the very thing that made them powerful, their speed. And there was an even greater danger, because where they were trying to break through the wall, the warning system had already been activated. The flames had already risen, the message had already traveled. Reinforcements were already moving. They might not even finish opening a pass before Chinese armies appeared behind them. At this point, the true function of the war becomes apparent. It didn't need to be impossible to cross. It only needed to make the enemy slow enough for the empire to respond. Historically, we need to recognize one fact. Before the Great Wall existed, Chinese kingdoms faced a massive military problem. The entire northern frontier had to be protected. Every direction could become an attack route. Every village could become a target. That means it required enormous armies and created huge financial pressure. But the Great Wall changed everything. It transformed the defense from a scattered struggle into an organized system. Where did the enemy appear? That was where troops could be gathered. Where was that danger? That was where soldiers could be sent. The Great Wall was not just a war. It was something much more advanced. It was an ancient military highway. The watchtowers transmitted information. The mountain passes controlled movements. The roads allowed armies to gather quickly. Before the Great Wall, China had to spread their force everywhere. After the Great Wall, China could concentrate its strength where it mattered the most. A small number of soldiers could achieve what once required a much larger army. So, the Great Wall didn't make the China invincible, but it made China much harder to attack. But was military defense the only purpose of the Great Wall? No, its influence reached far beyond the battlefield. Today, when people think about the Great Wall, they usually think about the wall, a giant defensive structure, a barrier against invasion. But the Great Wall was also something else. It was an economic boundary that changed the relationship between two civilizations. Here we must mention a great figure, Qin Shi Huang. It was because he unified the six kingdoms that the previously scattered northern defense lines were gradually connected into a larger system. For the first time, the northern frontier became a coordinated strategic line. The Great Wall protected not only territory, but also an entire economic system. How? Actually, the two worlds needed each other. The grasslands needed grain, iron tools, swords, and manufactured goods. The agricultural world needed horses, cattle, livestock products. Neither set could completely replace the other. They depended on each other. But the Great Wall changed the way they interacted. Before the war, a powerful cavalry force could simply cross the frontier, take resources, and return to the grasslands. But after the war became a complete defense system, that strategy became much more difficult. Every attack now came with a higher cost. More preparation, more risk, more uncertainty. And gradually, another option became more attractive. Not war, but negotiation. Not invasion, but trade. Because behind many conflicts, there was something deeper, a competition for resources. The Great Wall forced both sides to understand one reality. Endless conflict was expensive. Cooperation could sometimes bring great rewards. So the Great Wall was not simply a line separating north and south. It was a line that created new rules. It changed the way two civilizations interacted. The relationship between the grassland and the farmland slowly evolved from simple conflict into something far more complicated: competition, cooperation, and trade. Okay, let's have a summary. When we look at the Great Wall today, we see a symbol of China, a symbol of human determination. But 2,000 years ago, people saw something different. They saw a strategic system, a system that changed the rules of war. The Great Wall was never built to stop enemies crossing. Its true purpose was something much more intelligent: to take away the enemy's greatest advantage, speed, to transform scattered defense into a unified force, and to help an ancient civilization survive under constant pressure from the north for more than 2,000 years. So, the greatest power of the Great Wall was never its head. It was not the stones, it was not the facts, it was the idea behind it. Because the Great Wall did something extraordinary, it changed the way wars were fought. Okay, that's all. Welcome to subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.